Welcome to Tasha's Kitchen. My name is Natasha Romena Jacobs, and I'm going to be taking you on a journey into my kitchen. Are you a foodie? Do you like to eat? Do you like exquisite meals? Come along, let's explore my kitchen.
Satisfaction found in Tasha's Kitchen. Fun, fun, fun. Every time in Tasha's Kitchen, it's happy timing. Tasha's Kitchen. We always find and dine in Tasha's Kitchen. Sweet Tasha's Kitchen.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tasha's Kitchen. Today we are going to be making Afang Soup. Yes, Afang Soup is known to be from the Cross River, Calabar part of Nigeria, and the two main ingredients for Afang Soup is your water leaf and yukazi. Some people call yukazi Afang leaf. Today we'll dive into our stock making first. What we need for our stock making? First we have our meat. This goes into the pot first because we have to make our stock before we get into the main cooking. Yeah, you want. And in goes our meat. These have been washed and have cut all the impurities out. You can blanch it, but that is you boiling it in hot water a bit. Next, our fish is going to go in, washed and deboned. I removed all the bone, so you want don't choke on it. And next, I'm going to add to this is going to be stockfish and pomo, cleaned and diced. Now I'm going to put it here with the aid of a spoon. Now this is all making our stock. Your stock can comprise of many things. You can put your cow leg, your cow head, your periwinkle. Some people prefer to put the periwinkle as the last thing, depending on the type you're using, the removed or the normal one. So here I have my meat, my pomo, and my stockfish and fish. So all I'm going to do here is add a little bit of water. Just enough for your meat to get tender. If you're not satisfied with this, you can add more water as it goes in case it dries up. To this, we are going to add our salt. Just a little bit. As a Nigerian girl, they say you use your hand and then you put it until you feel it. We don't measure most of our things. Next is pepper, but my Nigerian girls did not get to the pepper. We are going to use this for the pepper. So we're going to put a little. Some people don't eat much pepper. But with this, I'm going to watch the amount of pepper I add later on because I'm not eating this alone. So we have our salt and we have our pepper. Now our seasoning cube. I'm going to be adding 2 of the seasoning cube just for the stock. You can decide to add more, you can decide not to. But most people don't like using seasoning cube because they believe it's artificial, it has chemicals and preservatives. So the best thing is to use your local seasoning thing like Iru or Ogiri. But for this, I'm using my seasoning cube alone. So to this now, I am going to let it boil for about 10-15 minutes and I check it occasionally. But if your water is going down, you can add more water to it so it gets cooked very well. Some people like their meat very tender and I also do. So we're going to cover this for now and come back and check it when it's ready. Don't go anywhere. Tasha's Kitchen will be ready. So it's been 5 minutes. Now we are going to put our onions. Remember, it's optional. You can decide to put your onions, you can decide not to put, and you can decide to put it immediately you're putting your meat and everything, and you can decide to wait a bit. But I'm going to put it now and have it cook. And have it cook with every other thing. I'm not going to put everything, I'm just going to put a little bit because I want to fry my water leaf with it later on. So I'm just going to put that and get it mixed in. And leave to boil till I'm certain my meat is soft and tender, just the way I like it. Welcome back, and now we are going to check our meat and check how tender it is, if it has gotten to our satisfaction. And now you're beginning to, perceive that delicious aroma around the house. It just gives you that feel that someone is in the kitchen, someone who knows what they are doing is in the kitchen. It's looking ready, but as a chef, as you're cooking, you're tasting. Let's find out if our meat is tender as we want it. It's still a bit hard. It should be easy to cut through. This is ready, but as in Nigeria, babe, we like our meat soft and tender. It's almost ready, but let's give it 5 more minutes to get that tenderness in it. So I'm just going to return this to get it properly cooked. You don't need to add anything else. And if you do taste your stock and feel like you're lacking a bit of salt or a bit of pepper, it's advisable to add it now so it all gets in together. Now we're going to cover it and leave it to cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. Come back and try and see if it's as soft as it is or as you want it to be. Then you put it down and head straight to the cooking. So for now, we just leave this to boil a bit more. And Tasha's Kitchen will be right back. Welcome back, viewers. Now we are setting our meat is soft and succulent the way we want it. All we are going to do now is pour out our stock into a bowl and have our pot dried to cook. That's aroma that lets everyone know that Natasha is in the kitchen. Favor is in the kitchen. As we have the oil, we don't want the oil to get really fried. In goes our onions. Let it fry for a bit before you put in your water leaf. Now remember, our aim is not to make the oil to make the oil blanched. So in goes our water leaf now. This I'm going to cover for a while to let the heatness melt it a bit. Welcome back to Tasha's Kitchen. Now we are going to check on our vegetable, water leaf to be precise, that we left to cook a bit because we want to take that water out of it. It's called water leaf for a reason. So here we turn, mix it up a bit, a whole lot. Some people prefer to have this dry, to have the water from the water leaf dry, and some people rather just go on like this. Why do they let it dry? It's simply because the water leaf has a lot of water, that's why it's called water leaf. And some people just leave it. But I have let mine dry for a bit. Now what I'm going to go in with is my stock. First and foremost, I'm going to put my stock, which is the meat, not the broth, not the water itself, because if I put in the water, I might have too much water. Remember, the water leaf is bringing out water. So firstly, I put in my meat. All the goodies I have in it goes out first. So then my water I can put bit by bit. I remember, if you have water left, you can put it in the fridge for some other soup. It's still usable. It's just you don't want your soup to be too watery. So you do this. But I'm still going to add a bit of this water, just not all at once. So I'll be able to monitor the amount of water that goes into my pot of soup. Because you don't want to finish cooking and by the time they dip their hand inside, it goes that it gets to your elbow. And then this gives you that thickness. If you're making party food, you can leave it like this. But home food, you know, you want to make it plenty for everyone, depending on the home chef. So this, like this, is fine. But I want to add a little bit water. Now I set that aside. Now in this, I'm going to add a little bit salt. A little bit, and most of all, I added a few cubes of my seasoning cubes. But my crayfish, I'm going to add a whole lot because the sweetness comes from the crayfish. It gives you this seafood deliciousness you get in meals. And yes, I use a whole lot of crayfish. So I'm going to be using 4 spoons of crayfish. If you are to measure it, you can add more if you desire. There's nothing like excess crayfish. You can never have too much of crayfish. It's nice. It gives it this really beautiful flavor. And remember, you might be wondering, you have not put the afang leaf, or also known as the okazi leaf, and the soup is almost looking very much edible. Yes, it is. Very, very much edible. So we have this in. Remember, your water is what gives you, whatever your water tastes of now is what your soup is going to taste of. So I'm going to add the remaining crayfish. And from the tasting, I taste a little bit of pepper is needed. Now, it depends on the family you come from. If your family do not like pepper, I wouldn't advise more pepper. Let's use just 1 more cube of seasoning. Give it a stir. And then we have our soup. If you're to add egusi, some people do add egusi to their afang. If you want to add egusi, this is like a perfect time to add your egusi so it gets to cook properly before you put it down. Remember, your afang is going to be the last thing, which is your okazi leaf, the last thing to add. You can also add your periwinkle now. If you're using the removed one, or if you're using the one with the shell, remember, wash it properly with your salt, because we all know where it comes from. So now I'm going to cover this to let it simmer a bit, get all the juiciness and all the seasoning I just put inside to get into the meat and everything. And then we'll come back and finally we'll put our afang leaf, aka okazi leaf, and we'll be done with our afang soup. Tasha's Kitchen will be right back. Welcome back to Tasha's Kitchen. Now we are going to open our pot and check how steamed our meat and everything is. Oh, this is lovely. Let's stir and get the boiling thing. Now we have everything here. If you taste it now, it tastes like vegetable soup. Only thing that is going to make the difference is our afang, which we are going to add right now, which gives it the name Afang Soup. We have a lot of afang, and this is nice. But remember, your water leaf should always be more than your afang leaf, because the water leaf is what makes it soft. Now, if you have more afang leaf, which is more of your okazi than your water leaf, you're going to have it's going to be chewy. Chewy is the word, because when you bite in, you get to chew on it, and that's not. You should all be nice and creamy. We drop this down and mix properly. Now, when you put your afang, you're going to notice it gets really thick. So the best thing to do at this stage is, remember, we have leftover stocks, which is right here. So we are going to add a bit of it. Remember, do not pour everything at once, because you need to gauge the amount of water in your soup. And whatever stock is left cannot be a waste, as long as you have a way to preserve it. Best way will be putting it in your fridge for next time. Now this is fine. If you check, it doesn't have much oil. It doesn't have much oil, and this is good. But if you want to add more oil, like people like me, we like it oily and juicy. And the secret to afang, vegetable, or edika, also known as edikaiko, ekpan, koko, and the rest of them, is when you put oil. Yes, some people say high cholesterol and the rest of them. It also has high cholesterol. I'm not saying it doesn't, but come on, it's nice. It tastes lovely. So we're just going to stir this in, and we're going to let it cook for a bit. Remember, we've been leaving it to cook all this while. We're only letting it cook for this much because we need the afang we just put to get cooked a bit. And this doesn't take much time, because you don't want it to turn brown. You still need that green freshness in it. So we're going to let it cook for about 5 minutes, and we'll come and put our pot down, and we'll be ready to eat. We'll be back in the next 5 minutes. Go nowhere and keep watching Tasha's Kitchen. We'll be back. Welcome back to Tasha's Kitchen. Now we are going to check our soup that has been simmered. We left it for the okazi, aka afang leaf, to get cooked. Now we are just going to, this is lovely. Stir it to make sure the palm oil we added at last to cook, and the afang itself is cooked. Yes, we have plenty passengers in our soup. Let's see. This is lovely. Our afang is ready to go. Now we know how to make afang, and we're done. So while you have this ready, you can eat this with your semo, your pounded yam, eba, amala. You can eat it with whatever you choose to eat it with, eba, semo, or whichever of your choice. And this is your afang soup. Stay tuned and keep watching Tasha's Kitchen. I'll be right back with delicious dishes. Bye-bye.
Life found in Tasha's Kitchen. Taste is found in Tasha's Kitchen. Satisfaction found in Tasha's Kitchen. Fun, fun, fun. Every time in Tasha's Kitchen, it's happy time.